Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about something that I have not talked about in years on this channel, and it's actually pretty surprising that something is finally being done about it. It's been something that I've actively avoided talking about, and the reason why that is because number one, I've already talked about this before. In fact, I made a video all the way back in late 2018 after being requested by dozens of fans to make a video talking about this subject. And ever since then, I feel like it's been kind of just the same old situation, right? And no matter what was being done, what was being said, the old staff at Twitter had absolutely zero interest in actually addressing this problem. And it's pretty disgusting that something like this was allowed to fester on Twitter for so long, especially considering this is a platform that had thousands of employees, basically infinite money in comparison to most other businesses on the planet to actually combat a problem like this. They had the infrastructure to do it and actually handle requests to take this kind of content down, but absolutely nothing was really ever done about this, and it continued to be a problem on Twitter for so long. And over the years, ever since I made my initial video talking about this, it's just been absolutely insane. Like, I've had hundreds, if not maybe even at this point over 1,000 requests over time through YouTube comments, Twitter, my email, all these different outlets asking me to cover this again and talk about this again and bring awareness to this. But if you didn't know, over at least the last few years here, there has been a major problem on Twitter with child exploitative content, aka CP. I think you can kind of infer what that stands for. Saying it in this video will give a pretty good chance for it to be age restricted and suppressed by the algorithm, so I'm going to avoid using terms that can basically get this video smacked by the YouTube algorithm. If you want to help spread the message and actually share a good topic for once, make sure to hit that like button down below, and if you're brand new around here on the channel, you might as well hit subscribe while you're down there, man. Turn on all notifications so you never miss another Optimus upload. Alright, so let's talk about this, man. Like I said, this has been an issue on Twitter for years, right? I made a video all the way back in late 2018 discussing that this was even a big deal in the first place, because even back then, even all these years ago, we had people, especially on Twitter, calling out that this was happening. And it's not like these people were even just hiding in the shadows of Twitter. It wasn't like these pedophiles were just sitting in the corner, you know, not messing with anybody. There was a pretty big issue with it, right? Like, we had people who like to call themselves MAPs, MAPs, or what they call minor attracted persons. And they were essentially going around on Twitter making the argument that it's basically okay for them to sleep with minors or be sexually attracted to minors, because they basically wanted to make it like its own sexuality, right? They wanted to be like part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and they wanted to be basically normalized as people who, oh, you know, we just have an attraction, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. First and foremost, bro, catch the end of this 12 gauge for even saying that in the first place. But that wasn't even the worst part of it, man. Over the years, right, there have been so many different hashtags that have come forward that have even been used. Like, there's even been mainstream coverage of this. It's not like this is a hidden fact, by the way. But there were like hashtags being used by pedophiles to essentially trade, buy, and promote CP on Twitter. And at one point, I was going to make a video kind of discussing this, because, like, how does Twitter have a fucking problem where there's literally public hashtags on the platform that are being used by child predators to share content openly on Twitter, and like no one's doing anything about it? But the reason I ended up not making that video is because I was afraid that I would inadvertently draw attention to these hashtags, and by talking about what Twitter needed to do and what to handle, people would go out of their way to search for these hashtags and like try to basically find CP. And I just didn't really want to be involved in that at all, man. Like, it's just such a disturbing and disgusting topic. It's really hard to legally research. I mean, obviously you can't just go on Twitter and try and find this shit legally, because it's fucking not only disgusting, but you're basically risking the FBI kicking your front door in and arresting you for looking for it. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to hear the excuse like, oh, I was trying to make a YouTube video talking about this, right? So I just kind of avoided the topic because I just didn't want to get involved, man. Like, it's just something I didn't want to be around. But now Twitter is finally doing something about this problem, and there's been one key change that has led to this finally being addressed. And that is, simply put, Elon Musk. I mean, there's no, it's night and day. Like, there's no way to really, like, even compare, like, before and now, because before Elon Musk was in control of Twitter and before he basically ridded a bunch of the staff off the platform and started taking things in his own direction, like, the staff at Twitter and whoever was in charge and whatnot, like, they just didn't give a fuck. They didn't care. Like, they weren't addressing this problem. It was literally running rampant on Twitter, and no matter how many times people tried to report shit to Twitter, or like the mainstream media would cover it, or like people like me would make a video talking about it, right? No matter how many times that shit happened, Twitter just never publicly addressed it, and they never really did anything in the back end that showed any significant results in taking this shit down. Now that Elon Musk is in control of the platform, all of a sudden something is finally being done about this, and child protection has been even cited as being one of Elon Musk's top priorities. And I just honestly want to point out an article that I saw recently that I really did not like, and it has something to do with the title, but I don't like the way this article was framed. About 2 weeks ago, Forbes published an article titled, "If Child Protection is Musk's Top Priority, Why is it so easy to find users selling images of nude minors on Twitter?" What this article doesn't mention whatsoever is that as of December 4th, 2022, over 44,000 accounts involved in child exploitation on Twitter had finally been removed. We had never seen a number like this get announced by Twitter beforehand. We had never seen, at least from what I've been able to observe, any level of action even remotely close to this taken by Twitter in the years before this. But of course, Elon Musk is being criticized after owning the platform for like, what, 2 months? Something like that now? So in that time period, tens of thousands of accounts involved in CSAM, which is child sexually abusive material, I think is what it stands for officially. So tens of thousands of these accounts have finally been taken down, but now we have Forbes finally coming out of the woodworks to, you know, talk about the issue, right? And it's funny because, like I said, like, this is an issue that I've known about for years. I've covered here on the channel before, and like, I don't remember seeing Forbes articles back in the day criticizing Jack Dorsey for not doing enough to basically take this kind of stuff down on Twitter. Where were those articles at? Where were those critiques at? You know, I'm not to, once again, the mainstream media, they did cover this issue. I don't want to say that like it was just never covered by the mainstream media, because that is pretty inaccurate to say. I mean, you can even go on Google and set like the time and date and whatnot, and basically search this, and you'll find articles from some mainstream media outlets and whatnot. But I just find it funny that all of a sudden now that Elon Musk is finally doing something about it, and there's like provable progression, I guess. Now suddenly they want to come out of the woodworks to discuss why he's not doing enough and all these other things. So the question that I've kind of had this whole time, right, when this whole issue even was like won in the first place, and we were talking about this kind of shit all the way back in 2018, right, is how does a platform this large, with this much oversight, with this much budget, with this many employees, consistently deal with such a preventable problem? I feel like it's preventable. I know that you can't monitor every single post that gets put on your social media platform, and you can't take action against everything and everyone, right? But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, right, what other social media platform is having even remotely similar types of problems, right? Now, you know, YouTube has been criticized for some weird children-related content coming up on the platform. I'm sure Facebook hasn't been innocent. But this has been like a piece of Twitter's reputation for years now, that like maps and pedophiles can basically run free on the platform, do basically whatever the fuck they want, and they can do it literally in the public eye. Like, it doesn't matter. They'll do it on public accounts. They don't even private their accounts. That's what's insane. That's how little they gave a fuck about Twitter doing anything, because like Twitter has never shown any interest in solving this problem, and no matter how many times people called it out or said something about it, it continued to just be a problem on the platform. And now something is finally being done about it, right? Now, of course, I'm not here to say, oh, Twitter's perfect now, this type of shit is done, it's not happening at all anymore, but from what I've read and from what I understand of the situation, it has definitely gotten much, much better since Elon Musk took the platform. platform over. And like, for me, what really confuses me is like, why wouldn't this have been a top priority before, dude? Like, you have this kind of shit happening on your platform, and there's no way they didn't know about it, right? Like, there's no way that the CEO and like the head engineers and whatnot had no idea this was going on. And like, instead of actually dedicating time and resources to solving this problem, it just was allowed to happen. And God only knows how many countless children could have been trafficked, could have had disturbing content surrounding them trafficked. It's just sad to think about, man. Like, there are so many potential victims out there through Twitter, and, you know, nothing was done about it throughout all this time. Imagine that children could have been saved from this type of shit if Twitter was actually more gung-ho about handling this problem earlier on in time. If it wasn't considered a top priority before Elon Musk, which it wasn't, obviously this kind of shit, it has an opportunity to keep going, and that's exactly basically what has happened from what I understand. And it's at this point now where finally, you know, we're getting some good news surrounding it. We're finally getting to hear that Twitter is somewhat taking this seriously. I mean, sure, it, once again, probably isn't perfect. There's probably still some bad apples and whatnot on the platform doing some pretty screwed up shit, but at the end of the day, I like to see progress. I like to see that they're finally taking this seriously, that, you know, an issue that I've talked about damn near a half decade ago at this point is finally being addressed by one of the world's largest social media platforms, because this is just weird that it wasn't before. And it really kind of makes you question the people who were running the platform before, right? You know, your Jack Dorseys and like the people who were the heads of like safety and trust and whatnot. Yoel Roth, I believe is his name. Like, what were they doing? You know, there's no way that in no time when they were at work or whatever that this never came up to them from somebody on the team. And like, instead of taking it seriously, they just did pretty much whatever else they did, right? It's just, I don't know, it's insane that it even took this long. That's what really, like, my big critique is, the fact that it took this fucking long for someone to care. So with that being said, though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @subtooptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about Twitter's most disturbing problem, and signing out.